Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, where we mix business, law of attraction, spirituality, and well-being with great guests and phenomenal stories. You'll hear hints, tips, and up-to-the-minute information on digital communication from an expert in her field. Pearl has some wonderful individuals in her networks, and she will be interviewing them all at some point in the future. Enjoy your listening.
Now, well, hello and welcome to another of the Pearls of Wisdom podcast interviews. And this one again is special. It's one of the Mission Hope series interviews. And today is a very, very special day because it's when Volume 5 has been published. It's live on Kindle today, the 29th of May. And the person I am going to interview today, this phenomenal author, I love your writing. I'm speaking to Mike Sutton. Now, if you follow him on socials, you'll see the way his words flow for the posts he shares and everything is just fantastic. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Sorry, carry on.
It's an honor. It is.
But I was just gonna say the same. I was so looking forward to speaking to you because your words do flow. I know I've said this every time we've connected. I've said how much your work stands out. So I will ask you, how do you approach your writing? Do you have a set process?
In all honesty, and there's going to be people that just say it's not possible until I read what is on my screen. I have no idea what I'm writing.
Yeah.
I wake up, I don't have an idea for the day. I told Shar early on that life's road put me in a spot where I could see life not through my eyes, but through the windows of my heart.
Yeah, I was going to say it's channeled.
It's that view that keeps me going.
Oh, Mike, that is wonderful. This is going to be a fantastic episode, and it is. I much the same when I say things. When I do these interviews, I don't always remember what I've said because I know it's been channeled. It's channeled by. It's like we know there's a message that we need to give to others, and it comes out through voice, be it the spoken word or the written word. And that is what's so special. And your work is so very special.
Well, thank you. Without having had a background in writing, through the course of my career, I did training meals. I had to learn how to do that, or write letters of recommendation, or write presentations for budget proposals or whatever. But I had nothing like what I find in the books. And I find now that when I go back and read what I've written, even in the books, it's like, wow, that hits me. And a lot of times I have to put the book down and come back when my eyes can see clear again. It's just, it's too much sometimes for me. But I was blessed. And it's a strange thing. When I lost my wife during COVID, and it wasn't due to COVID, but through that, I was given this blessing of being able to what I feel or what I see in words.
That is so special. As you've said this, you've heard me say where it all goes through. I get like this tingle when my guides are speaking through me, and it's just so special. As you've said that, I had like this whole sense of calm as you were sharing those wonderful words. See, I'm going to cry now because this is so, so special. And
I could offer you one of my clients.
but
I
carry on.
I was never one to have a whole lot of emotions to ever have to worry about revealing or showing. But when this all started, it was such a profound change in me that I didn't know how to take it.
Mm,
And I cry a whole lot more than I used to. I never cried. Nothing ever touched me. Now the song of a bird will bring me to tears,
yeah,
or playing with my cat. It was my wife's cat, and now she's mine. But there's so much joy in the simple small things that I never noticed that bring such comfort now.
yeah,
And I tell you, I like it. I love it.
yes, yes.
It's
Yes, I must admit, there's bits that I can resonate with that. I mean, I lost my mother in 2014 and it was quite sudden. It was quite a surprise and she was away at our caravan, so we didn't know. So still in my head, I still want to pick up the phone and talk to her because she didn't come home. That
yeah,
I think she's still there. And it's surprising how that starts to connect. And you think, yes, when I'm doing things, and I will sometimes go out and I've had a white feather just come out of nowhere, it seems. I mean, yes, it'll be a bird flying over and I've caught it in my hand, and that's happened twice on my mum's birthday. And
yeah,
it's sorry, I'm gonna cry, but it's so special when these things
it is.
happen. It
Well,
is
and they're powerful moments that you can't put a frame around them.
yeah,
They just are.
yeah,
And it's like if you dare enough to accept it, there's so much greatness in it for you.
yeah,
And through that loss, the healing that I got in the blessing of being able to see what I never seen before, it's like I just want to share that with other people. If it's snowing, I want them to see the beauty that I see,
yeah,
but they can't see it through my eyes. So I have to know how can I tell them what I feel? What is it doing for me? And I try to put that in my writings. So a lot of times if I write, I don't know exactly what I'm writing or where the thoughts are coming from, but I'll stop and I'll go back and I'll reread, and it's like, well, that's kind of a nifty line I'm going on. And when I'm all done, I go back and look at it and say, okay, well, I like
yeah.
it.
Oh, that is so wonderful. I absolutely love that idea because it's I mean, yes, some people would say it's channeled. I'd also say it's the quality of what you produce. And I will say this throughout this whole interview because the the fact that you can take what you see, like you said, and literally put it into words and describe a painting as it were. You paint with words, you paint a picture with the words on the page, and this is what is so special. And you do it with all the socials. Every time I see that you've put a post out, it's
Thank
so
you.
well written. It really is.
I appreciate that. It's like say I I don't know what it's going to be until I'm done, but I enjoy more so than writing. I enjoy to go back and read the comments
Yeah,
because it never fails that there's one or more that needed. They'll talk about needing what I wrote. I have to go back and read what did I write that they're talking about because I don't know.
yeah,
And then when I do read it, it's like now they got me teared up again.
yeah. But that again, that is, I think that's a knack that Char's got of bringing everyone together. That, and you've heard me say when I'm saying about all the volumes put together, the whole series that is
Yep.
Mission Hope. You can come back to each and every one of these books, and you can read the same piece and it will resonate in a different way depending on how you're feeling on that day. And it's, I mean, there are, I call them golden nuggets, or
Yeah.
like the name of the podcast, Pearls of Wisdom. It's a case of sharing those wonderful experiences because you know that they're there and they're going to touch other people. And it's
Well, and
carry on.
go ahead. Dominic, and we talk about the book a lot and Shar and the authors, but Dominic is kind of in the background. But he told me something when I first started working with Shar. He said a book doesn't ever get old. A book never dies.
Yeah,
He said it's that people quit talking about it. And he said you could let a book lie there for a long time, years. But he said go back and you start talking about it. He said you'll breathe new life back into that book.
yeah,
And I believe that's what these are, is with each volume, there's something that not only resonates with the reader, but at any time you you read it and you're something in you is reignited to want to share that moment,
yeah,
or you can feel what the person was feeling and it takes you back there again,
yeah,
if not in their life and in a place in yours.
yeah.
And I enjoy that.
And and that is so wonderful because as you're saying that, I can remember as my children were younger. I mean, they're all grown up. My daughter's married, and I mean, they're both in their 30s now, which ages me considerably. But when they were younger is when the Lord of the Rings trilogy films came out. And they'd come out very close to Christmas time. So our Christmas Eve tradition we started was always go to the cinema and watch the Lord of the Rings films. And my children would say to me, Mummy, they'd say, please stop, because I knew those books by heart. They're one of my favourite books. I would quote things and like the One Ring to bind them all, and they say, "Be quiet, we want to watch the film." But it's like you're saying, you live it at different times. Yes, I came to The Hobbit when I was 8 years old because my teacher at school read it to us. But then introducing that Tolkien as a writer to my children, and you see different nuances, and it's just it is special, isn't it? And I love that you shared from what Dom had said about books, because this is what I love. I love books. The amount, I think I've got a book or lots of books in every room in our house because I just consume books because I love them so
Yeah.
much.
I have a stand next to the kid. Everybody comes in, they say that's my chair, but it's a glider. I always liked rocking, but I found that I like a glider now. And so I'll have three or four books going at a time and they'll say like, well, why do you have them all stacked there? I'm reading them.
Yeah,
Well, what do you mean? You just can't, you read just one at a time? I said, no, I read this one for a while and then I pick up that one. I read, and you can keep them straight. Yeah, I do all the time.
yeah, yeah,
But my kids are the same way. They constantly read,
yeah,
and it's like I always think there was a show years ago when my kids were young. It was about this robot that came to life somehow or another. I don't remember how he did it, but his favorite line was "Feed me." He would go to the library and he just wanted books, more books, more books, and that's the way I feel when I grab a good book. I can't put it down fast enough,
yeah,
and finish the whole book up so I can go to the next one.
yeah,
But you were talking of your kids and their age and aging you. Both of mine just had birthdays in the last 2 months. My daughter is the oldest. She just turned 47, and my baby is not a baby. He's much taller than I am, but he just turned 45, and he's going to be bringing him and his mate a grandson or granddaughter rather in the next few weeks to us. So it's a wonderful time, and I'm waiting to see how it all works out. So far I've been proud of the whole bunch of them. It's like they've come together over this.
yeah.
So
It is, yes, it's so special. And like our children will still always be our children.
yep.
They're still our babies. And they look at me when I say that and they think, well, they're adults now. But no, they're still always be my babies.
Yep. Yep. I was speaking with someone earlier today, And they said something about it. And I said, yep. I said, but let them whisper my name. And I said, Dad's right there. I said,
Yeah.
that's my job now in life, is to be there when I'm needed.
Yeah.
Not to camp on their doorstep, but they know that if they need, I'm there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a matter that I need to be there.
Yeah.
And with that, in the books and Shar and the other authors and social media and any of the jobs I do, I fill a day full.
Yeah.
So when I come in at night and I sit down and I read a page or a couple of chapters, it's like, this is living, this is life.
Oh, it is. It's wonderful. Do you find sometimes with the really good books, I always try and save the last few pages because I don't want it to end. I might have to put it down and leave it a day or two so that it doesn't end. But of course, you can start it all over again. You can pick it up and read it again.
Yeah. I've got many that I've read multiple times over.
Yes,
Um, I enjoy them,
it is.
but I do read a lot. It's odd, maybe odd hours of the day for most people, how, life works for us, but I fit it in wherever I can fit it, and
Yeah.
I go with that. But it's the same as I do with the writing. I could be waiting for a meeting or for a part at the parts store, and if a thought pops in, I pull my phone out and I'm putting it down.
Yeah.
And I maybe don't know where that thought's going to go, but something tells me put it down.
Yeah.
And then maybe a month and a half later, I look and I got all these thoughts that, they all kind of go together, but they came in at different points in my life, and they're random initially, but now there's a reason to them,
Yeah.
and that's how I do with the writing.
Oh,
I just I never know where it's going or what it's going to be about. It's just I know that I need to put it down.
yeah. Yes, I do that. The amount of messages I send to myself on my phone, literally things I want to remember. I mean, I can't even be organised enough to put it into notes. It's in a text message, and then I know wherever I am, whichever device I've got, I can still pick it up and see where it is. But yeah, it's amazing how we all have these little things that we do. That's the nudge that yes, that's how we're going to move forward. I'm now going to ask you about Mission Hope because this is what these interviews are about. What does Mission Hope mean to you, Mike?
In all honesty, Mission Hope to me is a way for me to give back to others. I understand as I age, we all have things that pop up by the hour, by the day, by the year, and they can take us off track, if you will, really easily. And sometimes you get off track and you just kind of lose sight of your hope. And the series Mission Hope, no matter which volume it is, to me is a place to bring them back, just the way that I found my way back. I heard a speaker one time talk about when things seem like there's no topside, everything's going wrong. He said it's not that you've don't have hope. He said you've just lost track of it. He said you think of a woman with her purse and she's looking for a pen and she knows she's got that pen, but she can't just reach in and pick it up. But she knows it's in there, so she's got to dig around for it. And to me, that's what I think these books do. They help us dig around deep inside until we find what it is that's going to pick us up and help us move forward. And I think that's the best part of the whole series for me. I enjoy that, and I enjoy sharing where I had been and came from and what I found that helped me move forward, thinking that maybe there's someone out there that's similar, or maybe they know someone that's similar and they can say, hey, you know, have you thought about this? Or, it's possible. It's not a dead end. There is a way forward. There is a way up.
Yeah,
You just sometimes have to work a little bit harder for it.
yeah. But when we work that little bit harder, isn't it so worthwhile at the end? It really
It is.
is.
It is.
It,
And then you get a day like today when it's like a grand unveiling, and it's like, even though it's not my birthday, I'm as excited as if it was my birthday, because I know that I've been sitting on this for months, waiting for the day for others to be able to read what I know is contained in these. Like, yes, today's the day.
Yes. Before we started recording this, I was sharing with you, wasn't I, that I'd sat up almost all night, literally, because I'm UK based. I'm about 5, 6 hours ahead of you. So I'd organised with Sharon. So I started my posting as soon as it hit midnight here in the UK. And I was so excited. I set an alarm just in case I fell asleep. I didn't, and I was literally, I was, I was like a kid at Christmas. Literally, I didn't go to bed until about 3:30 this morning because I was busy sending the posts out and checking and seeing and responding to people, and it's so exciting because
Yep.
like you've said, with some of these chapters you might not have seen them for a while, and then you know you start to look back again, and it's that reminder again of exactly what you
Yep.
wrote. It is so special, and I've said it on every one of the panels, and I try and add this in every one of the interviews. I spoke with Shara about it yesterday, and she knows this is my passion. I want through these episodes, even if nothing else, I want us to get the whole series of Mission Hope into everyone's family, into their household, so that they can read together. I know we touched on things on the panel interview that we could well be running a few clubhouse things, and Shara and I spoke about this yesterday as well, where we can sit and read. Because if listeners haven't seen and listened to the panel interviews, the PAL panels for Mission Hope that are on the podcast, go and listen to them after this episode. I will link it to this episode so you can go and listen. And these wonderful authors, they read pieces of their work from different volumes. And it was so special what you shared, Mike. It was wonderful.
It was a thrill for me to be able to actually see and talk back and forth with my fellow authors. I see them on the chat lines, and like I was saying earlier, I'm good only to a certain point with social media. After that, I just kind of tune it out. But to be able to actually see them on a screen and hear their voice and feel their excitement, that to me was exciting. I enjoyed that. It's like you just don't get that in a chat room.
No,
I
no,
you know
you don't. And this is the whole idea of using the voice, because then you paint a picture and your emotions come through in the way you're speaking. It does with words as well. Like I say, the way you write your emotions, literally, you paint a picture with words.
Thank you.
But this is what these episodes do. I'm introducing these wonderful books, the Mission Hope series, and the most special people, you, the authors, when you can see what you bring to the table every time, and it's just so special. And if listeners haven't heard about Mission Hope, well, if not, why not? Because you should have been listening to all of these episodes and you will know all about them through that. Reach out, and like today, we've got the very special offer, and it's just on for today. So if you come to this after the 29th of May in 2025, the offer won't be there, but all the books will still be there. But just for today, it's $1.99, $1.99 on Kindle on Amazon, and we will have links connected to the post when we promote this, because obviously I won't put that link in all of the description here because it only lasts for the day. But as you're listening to it, and you will see as we promote each of this, and this interview will be going out today, it will be going out later today, because I want everyone to hear that,
That would
the
be
wonder of what you offer. Now, Mike, how did you first meet Shah?
It was actually kind of a strange beginning. I had lost my wife in May of 2020, and maybe 6, 7 months later, I never, I wasn't familiar with Facebook whatsoever. My wife had Facebook, but she only played games. She didn't uh, post or nothing. So that always was setting out there. So at the time of her passing, I thought, I know she's got a lot of friends that are going to wonder where she's at. So I figured out with the help of my kids how to go on there and write just a short, brief that, she's no longer going to be here and this is the reason why. And at a certain date, I'm going to take down the site. Well, when that date rolled up, she always signed on with CK Sutton. I thought, no, I can do that. So I switched it to ML Sutton and I started posting just a thought here and there. And Shar somehow caught those posts. And so she sent me a message wanting to know, would it be all right to call me? I was like, I had no clue who she was or what. And I said, sure. So my daughter's wondering, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, well, I'm going to find out. So Shar had called me and explained that she'd seen my posts and thought that I would be a good fit and what uh, her eyes were with this mission and would I be interested in? I said, sure. Well, that entire first conversation, I never got to speak more maybe than 2 words. Shar talked.
Yeah.
So then she called me back a few days later and apologized, and we talked again. And from there on, we've been working together. But it's been a great thing, and I wouldn't say it was by chance. I think the way that myself and others, the way we receive blessings, this was a blessing in disguise because not only is it good for the mission hope that she got another writer, but through writing with her and following others, I found some happiness as well in a time when I needed to fill a void.
Yeah.
And it's just been a great match for me.
Yeah. Is Shar is so very special. I mean, I think she's touched all of our lives, and that is a lovely, lovely way to describe the connection. And she's got all these connections with every one of the authors. And this is why I always ask about how we've all connected with Shar. I mean, you're also lucky because you're on the same continent and the same place as Shar. It might be thousands of miles because geography is my worst subject. So if I've got distances wrong, but you're in the same area, I'm the other side of the world almost.
Right.
And I'd been connected with Shar since 2020, so it would have been since COVID
Similar.
and lockdown. And I thought, and I don't even remember seeing her posts. And then literally, I'd step back to take the time to look after my dad. And I think I was quiet on socials for about 18 months, almost 2 years. And I came back, and the first posts I was seeing were Shar's. And I was interacting, and everything happens for a reason. And it's like, Shara and I have so much in common, so many synchronicities, and that's one of my favourite words is synchronicities, because as you start to talk to someone and do these interviews, we all have these similarities, these synchronicities, and you can see, yes, that's why
Yep.
destiny, universe, source, whatever, that's why we've come together to do this interview, to just to speak to each other and have a message to share. And to do that with Shar, it was so special. And yet now we speak every day. It might just be a message because I still get confused with the time difference, and I
Yep.
always leave it until late in the afternoon because the last thing I want to do is send a message to someone, their phone to go off, and it's the middle of the night. And when you're fast asleep, I've sent pings and things to people. But it's so special, that connection with Shar.
It
It
is.
yeah.
And through her, I was able to meet Dominic and and then, the motivation team behind him.
Yeah.
And it's like there's this whole nother group out there that I was never aware of. And like you, I had never seen Char's post. I had no idea who she was. But through her and through writing, I've met others on there that uh, have control of certain sites that now I work with them,
Yeah.
and I've met other poets, I've met other writers. So it's given me a chance to do not only write for Mission Hope, but other venues as well that I would never have ever given thought to. And
Yeah.
it's just opened up a whole new world for me.
Yeah. It, this it's this is what I love as well. Like where you mentioned Dominic, I felt Dominic was the very first person I interviewed for the Mission Hope series of the interviews, and again the connections. And after the interview, Dominic and I connected on most of the social networks. We've got quite similar backgrounds, like Shah and my backgrounds are quite similar, and it's lovely to like when you say about the motivation and everything, where I follow where Dom's posting and all those different things. For quite a while, I used to coach for Bob Proctor. Well, I say coach. I worked with a Bob Proctor coach, but then I used to take on and cover some of her work because she'd do morning and evening sessions of training, and I used to cover some of the morning sessions and most of the evening sessions. So it's where you start to do that and do the motivational piece. And again, it's all those little things that we do that suddenly come to fruition. It could be years down the line, or it's something, and then it's just it's a ripple. I talk about ripples, and literally that one thing, Mission Hope, Shah speaking to you, Shah speaking to me, we connecting with Dom, and then all these different things and more possibilities and purpose comes in. And this is what is so, so special.
Well, and like I was mentioning earlier, through Mission Hope, we're trying to put the book out there in the ebook, but other people that have been following Mission Hope, they're looking for it. They're wanting to know, oh, when is the new volume coming out? So you go into Big Boy and you sit down, or I go in the bookstore uptown and it's like, there he is. Let's just ask him. It's like, yep, I've got more copies coming in and we've got a new one coming out. And so I think it was at Christmas time. Um, the bookstore owner and myself got together and ran a special on the Mission Hope book where they could buy the 4 book set
Yeah.
as gifts. And that's what I figured, well, that gets it out into more hands. And that was a good thing for our area. And then getting them into libraries where I don't know how it is in the UK, but up here as you get farther north, incomes get thinner, seems like, for a lot of folks, where they couldn't go in a bookstore and buy that book, but they can go to the library, or they can pull the library up on their phone and they can read that book.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm all for that. I put a book. I think I've got them in 3 or 4 of the local libraries now, and each time one comes out, they know that I'm coming in with the new one. So
Oh, this is so, so very, very special. Would you, how many of the books have you been involved with? You've done all 5, haven't you?
yes, I've done
Yeah.
all 5. Yep, yep.
Nice.
And in each one, like I mentioned in the group panel there, Shar puts out an idea, and many times it might be a word or 2 words or a thought. I really don't have a clue about where to begin with this thought or this word. So it might be a week or 2. And it's like the harder I try, the further behind I get. So I just forget about it. And then all of a sudden, one day or in the middle of the night, I wake up and I'm wide awake and I start single finger pecking on my phone and I put the story together. And then when I get back and I think, well, maybe I better go back and read what I'm writing because I have no clue. And it's like, I think that works with that title.
And
And it,
so when you were saying like working with that title, like if people are coming to the Wish and Hope series for the first time, each book's title deals with one set of emotions or a single word or a couple of words together, and it can mean something different to everyone. And something that really struck me, you said it in the panel interview when we talked about volume 5 talks about joy, doesn't it?
Yep,
And
it does.
you were saying about the difference between happiness and joy, and that what you said resonates with me every single day. Since we've had that interview, there's been times in my day where I thought, yes, I can see where Mike said happiness and joy, and seeing the difference. And as I'm saying it, I've got all goosebumps because it was just so special when you shared that. And I urge listeners to go back and listen to the panel interview as well, because it was just wonderful. I mean, like you say, these words, they can mean different things. Those emotions can interact with people in different ways as well, can't they?
They do. And I think a lot of times we have these emotions, but we don't really put a lot of thought into them. I know until 5 years ago, you get in the habit of a routine. Everybody feels comfortable, but that routine has its drawbacks. If you don't get out of that routine once in a while and look about you or listen, it's like unimaginable how much we miss. I, I'll give you an example, and people thought I was pretty strange for it, but my wife and kids would always yell at me, "Dad, turn TV down. Mike, turn TV down." It's like, I can't hear it. So I finally got around after a couple of years. I went in and I got a hearing test. And he says, "Yep." He said, "You got some bad hearing." I said, "Okay, well, so how do we fix it?" So they set you up and they order out the hearing aids and they come in, and the optometrist or the hearing person, I don't know the correct word, but he says, "I just want you to listen, and I'm going to put these connections on the hearing aids in your ear, and I want to see how you're hearing the words." And he read this poem called "The Rainbow." I sat there and I bawled like a baby. It, it was just so beautiful. So I got out of there and I came home. And my wife says, "Well, are you going to do this or do that?" And it's like, "No, I'm just going to sit right here in the yard swing, because in all the years of my hearing going bad, I never noticed I haven't heard birds." And that was such an awakening to sit out there and hear a bird sing. And I think that if we don't get out of our routines, even if we can hear them without aid, we miss those things.
Yeah.
We miss the sunrise. We miss the sunset. We miss a bird song.
Yeah.
And those are moments that we don't get back. I mean, we have this moment today, but maybe our next meeting is not going to be like this one. And so I always remember that, to try and take as much in this moment as I can possibly take in,
Yeah.
and hope that it lasts.
Yeah. It's and the whole idea of listening. Yes, we've got more than one sense, but I specialize in communications, and so many people think communicating is speaking, it's talking to people. But communication is
Listening.
first and foremost listening. First and foremost listening, because by doing that, I mean, most of the listeners, because this goes out as an audio, Mike
Right.
will say, "I talk with my hands. I don't ever stop. I gesticulate all the time." And so, if you're on a panel, if you're as a guest on my podcast, you will see that. But I don't know if that comes through as people listen. I mean, you might hear my voice change because my hands are coming in front of my face or something like that. But it is when you look, that's part of, we use our eyes for the communication as well, because people will think, "Oh yes, that's Pearl." And as I start to say something and my hands go up, people that have seen me a few times, you probably have already noticed I do
Yeah.
certain things at certain times, and it's emphasizing what I'm saying. And it goes back to we've got one mouth, we've got two eyes, we've got two ears, and that's for a reason. But the ones that we've got double of, we should use more than the one that we've only got one of.
Well, and I like that part about the mission hope, the idea behind it that Shar had, and the books themselves is you every day you really can't get through a day without running into somebody that's maybe not down in the dumps terribly, but there will be some. Or you'll run into someone that's got doubts. You'll run into someone that maybe they got conflict at home or issues at home that they can't talk about, but they're carrying them. And when they can pick up one of these books, even if it doesn't deal with it that day, they can remember that, hey, this this helped. I can come through this. I have to work a little harder, but I'll come through it and I'll have another day. And to me, that's the whole premise behind these books is to show people that there's a way. And I try to put that, I'll write my story, but in my personal books I've written, I always call it the conclusion. In Mission Hope books, I just put it as the last 3 or 4 paragraphs that, this is the story I've written. But now, without maybe you realizing it, I'm tying it into what I think you really need to know out of that whole story. And I just leave them with that. It's
Wow.
maybe it's a cheap shot, but
No, no, this is just so very special. It is literally, you've got, it's almost, it's a great way to end this interview because literally we've talked through your journey and you said how you literally round that chapter off. And it's so special. It's so special. And that in itself is a craft. And it's, I mean, my degree's in English, so I did both creative writing, literature, and language, and so they teach you to do this. And it's what I've always been taught. It's almost like narrative greed that when you do the first paragraph, you're drawing the reader in, and literally, and each one you might enter a sentence or you might end a couple of paragraphs with a question that leaves your reader thinking. And then, as you've said, you've brought it all the way round to the conclusion at the end and what you've drawn from it. But as we've said each and every time, each of the listeners, when they're reading this work, they could draw a different conclusion each day, depending on where their emotion is, where their state of mind is when they read it. It
yeah,
is,
they're powerful in their own right.
yeah. They are. Now, I'm going to ask you one. I said I was bringing this to the end. I'm just going to ask one more thing. Mike, can you talk about volume 5 briefly and let the listeners know what the special offer is that's on today so that we know that when we get this out, because it will probably go up within the next hour, 90 minutes, something like that, so people can go out there and get this ebook.
Yes, I'd be glad to. Volume 5, Mission Hope, rediscovering and embracing the joy within. I don't know how the other writers are going to pull it together, but for me, I take the reader on a journey, and it it's a journey where they can hopefully sense my anticipation, my excitement, and then the climax is the moment of joy in the moment that I realize I knew what happiness was. I just didn't give it the right name. But now I know what real joy is. And today only, they have the option and chance to read that for $1.99, or if they can get a hold of one of their favorite authors, get a free version just by sending in their email address to their author. My my Facebook account is ML Sutton. If folks want one, they can just drop me a message. All you need to do is send me your email. I'll know what to do with it. And I will get a free version out to them. And all their other favorite authors on the Mission Hope panel can do the same for them. And we'd love for them all to have this. So
Oh, wow. Well, Mike, thank you so much. I can't top that. I will just say to each and every one of the listeners, make sure you reach out to Mike and the other authors. What we do with these episodes, I leave the comments open so that you can actually reach out that way as well. And I can keep an eye on the comments and pass them on to each of the authors as well. It just leaves me to say a massive, massive thank you to you, Mike. And I will ask you,
thank you.
I think you have so much to offer. Can I ask you, would you be a regular guest on the podcast, please? I'd love to have you back as a guest.
Sure. I'd appreciate that. I'd enjoy that. You make the whole process so comfortable. It's just great. So
Thank,
yeah, I would be happy to. I'm glad to be here this time.
thank you, Mike. That is absolutely brilliant. So thank you once again for being such a phenomenal guest and just for sharing your pearls of wisdom, those golden nuggets. And to every listener, make sure that you have the whole series of the Mission Hope books. Thank you once again, Mike.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the content shared. Please share with others who would like to enjoy these interviews and discussions. If you would like to support the podcast, please follow the link in the episode description. If you want to be a guest on the show, reach out and let's discuss next steps. Until the next time, enjoy your listening.